Table of contents. It says, what is in this book? How do we get our food? Farming then and now, food from grains, vegetables and fruit, honey and syrup, food from animals, farming tools, kitchen tools, keeping food fresh, and the best foods. Okay, so how do we get our food? Without food, we could not stay alive for very long. Today, we can get food in many places. Most people buy it in supermarkets. Some buy food at health food stores and farmers markets. Restaurants and cafeterias also sell food. Where do you get your food? Where did people long ago buy food? I love how the author uses questions as his headings. In the old days, there were not many places to buy food. There were no supermarkets and very few restaurants. Most people grew their own food. They could also go to a general store and barter or trade some of the foods they grew for foods they did not grow. The general store also sold other things people needed. Farming then and now. Today, some people grow their own food, but most of our food comes from huge farms. The farms either grow crops or raise animals. The foods they grow or raise are made into different kinds of products. Many of the products are processed. Processed foods are put into packages or cans and have added ingredients to keep them from going bad. Starting a farm long ago. Long ago, when people arrived in a new area, they built a home and planted some crops so their families would have food to eat. Farmers helped one another by sharing some crops or exchanging seeds to grow new crops. The animals they raised were kept in barns. To build barns, many farmers held barn-raising bees. Bees were work parties. Food from grains. In most countries, bread is a staple food. A staple food is a food that is eaten every day. Bread comes from grains such as wheat, oats, and rye. Today, these grains are grown in huge fields and are cut down by machines called combine harvesters. The grain is ground into flour and packaged in factories. Some of it is used to make bread, pasta, cereals, and cakes, which are sold in stores. From grain to flour. Long ago, people ate bread every day, just as we do today. There were no machines in those days, so farmers cut down the wheat and corn they grew by hand. They used simple tools such as scythes and sickles, shown on the right. Vegetables and fruit. Vegetables are great for us. They are plant foods that grow in soil or in water. Fruits also grow in soil as well as on trees. Most people today buy their fruits and vegetables at supermarkets, but many families grow their own vegetables or buy them at local markets. Local markets are close to home. Homegrown foods. Long ago, most people grew their own vegetable gardens and even had fruit trees such as apple, cherry, and peach. People ate some of the fruits and vegetables they grew. They also preserved some and traded some at the general store. Honey and syrup. Sugar was not easy to get long ago, so people sweetened their foods with honey or maple syrup. We get these foods today in the same way that farmers did long ago. Collecting honey. Bees fly from flower to collect nectar. Their bodies make the nectar into honey, which the bees use for food. Early settlers used to follow bees to find their hives and collect the honey stored inside. They also learned how to raise bees to make honey. People today still keep bees so they can use their honey. Maple syrup. Maple syrup also comes from plants. It is made from the sweet sap or liquid inside maple trees. Maple sap drips out of a maple tree into a pail through a spout. The sap is boiled until it becomes a thick syrup. Food from animals. Meat, eggs, milk, and cheese are all foods that come from animals. In the past, people hunted many of the animals they ate. Today, we get meat from animals such as pigs, chickens, turkeys, and cattle. Most livestock, or farm animals, are raised in huge barns. Farmers today have many machines to help them look after the livestock. Animal foods long ago. The first settlers in North America ate whatever meat they could find. They hunted wild rabbits, deer, and pigeons, which lived all around them. They also raised some livestock for their meat, eggs, and milk. In the West, cattle were raised on huge ranches on which cowboys lived and worked. Part of their job was to round up these animals and take them to towns that had train stations. The cattle were then transported or carried by train to cities in the East where people bought their meat. All right, boys and girls, that was our read aloud for today. And our read aloud is called Food and Farming Then and Now.